remember about the Hinds County Jail and the trip into Jackson, which I feel I should mention, is that on the way, once we got into the city of Jackson, of course, with the big police escort and so forth, everybody knew this was a bus full of freedom riders. The reaction of the whites was hostility. They would yell things and so forth. And the black people were so happy to see us. You could see them waving, and some of them were actually crying because they were just so moved that somebody would come down there and try to do something about the situation. While we were in jail to protest being arrested, we did go on a hunger strike right there in Hinds County, and the locals would send us just about every day care packages with candy bars, cigarettes, and so forth. And since we were on a hunger strike, we didn't eat anything. We just drank water, but several of us started smoking simply because the cigarettes helped kill the pain of hunger. The conditions in Mississippi were very oppressive at the time. I do remember one radio announcer making mention of how the Freedom Riders seemed to be so well organized and disciplined. And this fellow was an announcer on a local black radio station there in Jackson. Because of this favorable comment, he was immediately fired from his job from that radio station. There were other prisoners in the jail at Hinds County, and I can remember another prisoner who was doing 7 years in jail for stealing a sack of chicken feed. So this is just something to give you some idea of the kind of society that existed there at that time. But one thing I should point out that there were on that bus quite a number of white people who participated with us, and the thing about it with them was in earlier instances when there was violence, the white toughs would single them out and treat them a little more harshly simply because they regarded them as traitors and so forth. But throughout the movement, there have always been whites who have participated just as fully as blacks, and I think this is one point that needs to be made clear.
You know, when you think about the legacy, you know, you and others were a part of that movement, and we know that there are so many problems today, and you know, dealing with in the environment and so many other things. We also understand that you're also involved in this environmental racism kind of thing. Let's have you over the last few minutes to say something about that.
Well, my involvement in the environmental situation is something that more or less came to me because I live in an area of Nashville called Bordeaux, and Bordeaux happens to have an unusual number of unwanted facilities. One of the terms in the environmental scene often used is LULU, L-U-L-U, which stands for locally unwanted land use. There are many locally unwanted land uses in Bordeaux, things you wouldn't find in comparable communities around the city. We've got prisons in Bordeaux, we've got a massive oil storage tanks, we've got a massive insurance company, automobile junkyard.